Dr. Spence, do you use the women's restroom?
Of course not.
Why not? Because you're a man. Wow, that's a great thing. So why do you think men should be able to use the restroom in Loudoun County Public Schools?
I don't.
Okay, but they do. Why did the girl pretending to be a boy who filmed boys in their restroom, why was there no discipline for that student?
What you've stated is factually inaccurate. Our policies do not permit filming in our restroom.
Okay, so when a student did it, why did that student not suffer any disciplinary conduct for doing that?
I'm not going to talk about specific.
Understood. I wouldn't talk about it either. Two of the boys were Christian. One of the boys was Muslim. Magically, the Muslim boy, charges dropped. The two Christian boys were persecuted. How did you justify that decision?
I'd like to ask if I'm going to be
No, you don't get to
just
ask. I have 16 seconds left. I think the testimony that we've heard here from all of you is a disgrace.
Here's the breakdown. A girl films boys in their own bathroom. The boys complain. The boys get in trouble. The girl gets nothing. Then, two Christian boys stay in trouble. The Muslim boys' charges mysteriously disappear. Rep. Randy Fine just forced a school superintendent to answer for all of it live on camera. Fine opened with a simple question. Do you use the women's restroom, Dr. Spence? The superintendent said, of course not. I am a male. Fine didn't skip a beat. So why do men use the women's restroom in Loudoun County Public Schools? The superintendent claimed they don't allow it. Fine's response, but they do, over and over and over again, and we have the incidents to prove it. Then he dropped the case that exposed everything. Hit the subscribe button right now for weekly breakdowns inside Congress. In 2025, a transgender student, a girl identifying as a boy, entered the boys' restroom and filmed the boys inside. The boys who complained got in trouble. The student doing the filming did not. Fine pressed the superintendent directly. Why was the student who did the filming never disciplined? The superintendent called Fine's account factually inaccurate, but refused to say whether the student was disciplined. Then Fine revealed a detail that silenced the entire room. 3 boys were initially disciplined. 2 were Christian, 1 was Muslim. Magically, the Muslim boys' charges were dropped. The 2 Christian boys were not. Fine looked straight at the superintendent and asked, how do you justify that decision? The superintendent tried to respond. Fine cut him off. I have 16 seconds left, and your testimony today is a disgrace. Fine then turned to Chicago Public Schools, exposing a field trip where students were transported on taxpayer-funded buses to a political protest, carrying signs comparing President Trump to Hitler. The Chicago superintendent had previously told Congress the event was not politically slated. Fine produced the permission slip, which literally stated students would engage in political advocacy. The superintendent committed to investigate. Fine took that as a yes and moved on. 1 hearing, 3 school districts, a transgender filming scandal, Christian boys punished while Muslim charges disappeared, students taken on taxpayer buses to political rallies. Fine ended his time with words that every parent in America needed to hear. Thank God I live in Florida, where parents and students do not have to put up with this garbage. What do you think? Are American schools failing our children? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.
I now recognize the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to start with Chicago. You spend 55% more per student than the national average, and since 2019, you've increased your bureaucrats by 15%, while your student enrollment has dropped by 9%, so massive increase in employment. Despite that, whether it's 4th graders or juniors, only 1 in 4 of your students is proficient. So my question for you is this. You said at that May 1st event was not a politically slated event. That's the quote that you said. But I have right here the permission slip that folks were expected to sign. And the permission slip says students will engage in political advocacy. So do you want to change your testimony to this committee about it not being a politically slated event?
No, I do not. I'm not familiar with the field trip that you're holding up. And
will you commit to investigate this permission slip where the parents had to sign something saying you're going to will engage in political advocacy? Will you commit to investigate this and hold them responsible since you represented to us it was not a politically slated event?
I will commit.
Great. Next thing I want to do, since again you don't seem to know what happened on that day, Here is one of the non-politically slated events. This is a student, one of your students, transported on a taxpayer-funded bus, equating the President of the United States with Hitler. The sign literally says, the Trump fascist regime must go now. Would that qualify as not a politically slated event that this student went to during class time when he should have been learning? This is not a politically slated event?
I'm not aware of that student and that poster being connected to the...
Okay, then let me ask you this. If you grant that what I'm saying is true, I understand you're going to plead ignorant, but if what I'm stating is true, would this be a politically slated event?
We do not support or condone.
That's not my question. Would this be a politically slated event? Would the information you gave to the committee be incorrect? Maybe you didn't know, I'll grant that. But would you agree, if what I'm saying is true, that the information that you gave to this committee was false?
If what you're saying is true and was reported, Chicago Public Schools would investigate.
Great, and will you commit to investigate this as well?
I'm not familiar with that.
Will you
feature or
commit
that.
to look into it?
If you could give me more details.
We will. All right, great. I'm going to take that as a yes. I want to move on to Loudoun County Public Schools. Dr. Spence, do you use the women's restroom?
Of course not,
Why not?
because I would never use a woman's restroom. I'm a male.
Because you're a man. Wow, that's a great thing. So why do you think men should be able to use the restroom in Loudoun County Public Schools?
I don't.
Okay, but they do. They do, and we've got incident over and over. Look, I could say I'm an NBA athlete. That doesn't make it true. Yeah. You allow men to use the women's restroom over and over and over again. And you can argue insanely whether that's okay or not, but I have a question. In 2025, you had an issue where a man went into, or a woman went into the restroom, and 3 boys that were there were unhappy about it because they were being recorded. Initially, the boys got in trouble. The girl, who was pretending to be a boy, did not. Why did the girl pretending to be a boy who filmed boys in their restroom, why was there no discipline for that student? Why did the people complaining about the girl coming into the boys' restroom get in trouble, but not the girl who was filming? Not even saying whether they should go in the bathroom or not, but they were filming. It's on film. Why did that student not get in trouble?
Sure. So, challenging for me to discuss the specifics of it, but if you'll allow, challenging for me to discuss the specifics of individual student discipline, as you would understand, but I'm going to say broadly 2 things. One, what you've stated is factually inaccurate.
Did the girl not film the students? That's wrong? There was no filming?
That's not what I'm saying.
I'm asking, was a student filming other students, and is that allowed in your school district?
Let me say this broadly, in general. Our policies do not permit filming in our
Okay, so
restroom.
when a student did it, why did that student not suffer any disciplinary conduct for doing that?
Again, factually inaccurate. What I would say is
So you're
our
saying that
policies-
student was disciplined for filming those other students?
I'm not going to talk about specific.
Understood. I wouldn't talk about it either if I was you. Here's my other question. The 3 boys got in trouble initially. 2 of the boys were Christian, 1 of the boys was Muslim. Magically, the 3rd boy, the Muslim boy, charges dropped. The 2 Christian boys were persecuted. How did you justify that decision?
So I'd like to ask if I'm going to be
No, you
allowed
don't
to
get to
just-
ask. I have 16 seconds left. I think the testimony that we've heard here from all of you
Factually
is a
inaccurate.
disgrace.
Factually
And
inaccurate.
what I take away from this hearing is, thank God I live in Florida, where thanks to me and the Florida legislature, our parents and our students don't have to put up with the garbage that they do in your school districts. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields. I now recognize the gentleman from California, Mr. DeSaulnier.
I'd like to start with Mr. Spence. Do you want to respond, take a little of my time to respond to any of the previous comments?
I appreciate that, and I'll try to be brief. I just want to communicate clearly. We have very clear policies that would prevent filming students in our bathrooms. We have very clear policies that prevent things like bullying students, very clear policies that prevent assaults, very clear policies around discipline. What I would say is that when students violate those policies, discipline is applied appropriately. What I would also say is the opposite. We would not discipline students absent a violation of those policies.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a letter from the San Francisco Parents Coalition in support of Superintendent Sue.
Without objection and hearing none, it'll be submitted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to read a quote from that letter. Dr. Sue has earned the trust of San Francisco schools' families through her steady leadership, transparency, and unwavering focus on children. She has shown up for our community through difficult circumstances, made hard decisions with integrity, and built genuine partnerships with parents across the city. We are proud to stand behind her. Dr. Sue, I know you're having trouble and having just cut over laryngitis, but I want to just give you a moment. Family engagement centers are something that I've been very active in, along with my colleague on the other side, Representative Thompson. I think it's about $150 million a year. We know students do better when their parents are engaged. I have an older brother who's a retired teacher from San Francisco, but for the Archdiocese, who is in a proud same-sex marriage for many years. Family engagement in San Francisco, you do well, but you do it as representative from a very diverse city. Could you respond to that and how positive it is for academic outcomes?
Thank you for the opportunity to share the really wonderful work and partnership that we have with our families at SFUSD. We firmly believe that parents are our students' first teacher, and because of that, we try to build a very strong line of communication with our families. We partner very closely with families from the start of the school year, in which we share with families all the different programs and services that we have in the school district, as well as all the partner programs that we have that students and families have access to. We actually have something very similar in San Francisco called the Family Resource Center, in which families can come as early as birth to learn about just different ways that they can support their children. And so we firmly believe that families and partnership with families is very important for students' long-term academic success.
I appreciate that. Mr. Smith, 20%, CDC 2024 report said that about 20% of American students are prone to suicidal ideation. It's higher for African Americans, Hispanics, and LGBTQ, but we're not providing enough support for those communities. Could you respond to that? We know that if we gave the counseling, we could improve these outcomes so young people could develop fully, but also address a real serious issue as opposed to what we're doing today.
Thank you for the question. I had previously mentioned that $3.2 billion have gone into having to deal with exclusionary policies. So that means that $3.2 billion hasn't gone into providing mental health support, hasn't gone into making sure that students have what they need to succeed, hasn't gone into making sure that our classrooms are safe and supporting environments for all students.
So let me ask the superintendents just briefly, if we had the money we promised when Gerald Ford signed IDEA, and this is one of the protected classes the Department of Education is supposed to protect, what could you do with that as opposed to spending money on silly things like this? Maybe Dr. Sue, you could start.
We would be able to fully fund and support all of our obligations for special ed services, as well as wraparound mental health and well-being supports for all of our students.
And now, right now, our percentage is about 10%. We're supposed to pay 40%. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Dr. King?
I would agree. We would be able to support all of our students, especially our students with receive special education services, our students that are in need of second language services as well, and for any other group of students that we identify based on NAEP data as well to provide targeted support.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would suggest if we all spent more time on those issues rather than this silliness, we'd do a lot of good work for America.